Hi, I'm Eileen Roche, and welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. I'm thrilled that you're joining us today, and we got a great show in store for you. One of my favorite people in the industry, Reen Wilcoxson, is going to join me in just a moment. But before she comes in, let's say hello to all of our friends here. We have Riker joining from Maryland and Western Kansas, California, Kathy Surface. Mary Wall up in Arkansas. Somebody in South Texas, Cheryl Jackson. I'll bet it's hot down there today. And Becky Mum, she's in North Texas, which is right where I am also. And a good Canadian friend, the Energizer Bunny. Oh, I like that handle. That's pretty fun. And of course, Tennessee. So if you're here, we know you love to embroider, and we also are probably correct that you like to do in the hoop projects, because my guest today, Reen Wilcoxson, is an in the hoop embroiderer extraordinaire. In fact, she has been in business for many years. We're going to learn a little bit more about that when she comes on, but she has dozens and dozens of in the hoop projects. And if you have been doing in the hoop for a long time, there's a very good chance that you have done one of Reen Wilcoxson's projects. So let's go ahead and welcome in Reen from Embroidery Garden. Hi, Reen.
Hi, Eileen. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. You know, I'm in a different place. You're home and I'm home today in North Texas. Normally, I broadcast from our studio in Dallas, and around 10:30 this morning, we lost power for no reason. It's a beautiful day here in Texas. So it's not weather. Some other catastrophe, I imagine. So everybody had to race home and try to get connected. So here we are. And just in time, right, Reen, for you and I together. Yeah, I know. And you're going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in today's show, because I'm just here with this one camera. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that. So Tracy Edwards has said she's made 15 badge holders that are great for cruising and traveling. I love that. Carolyn Booth says that she loves your designs, that you're the best. I agree. For those in the hoop projects, right? So let's see, who else has done some Reen Wilcoxson Embroidery Garden projects? And if so, tell us which one you've done. Do you have a favorite? I like your zipper bags, the collection that comes in all the different sizes.
That's a really popular set.
Yeah, I guess, because, it fills all your needs, right? Okay, what's the smallest one?
The smallest one is 4x4, and that set goes up to 9.5 by 14. It's probably been my best seller for a number of years now. The set is a little bit older, but it's still great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But, through the years, Reen, you have developed techniques and methods for in the hoop that have really given you and your customers success, because in the beginning of in the hoop, we weren't all that successful, were we?
No, it's definitely come a long way, and a lot of it is, to me, your creativity, how far you're willing to push yourself and, your machine to see what you can accomplish.
Yes. And, I think that we learned a lot about like using tape and how to press, how to prepare our fabrics, what kind of stabilizer to use to give success,
Right.
all of that, right?
Right.
So let's talk about stabilizer. Now, I know, I would say 99% of in the hoop projects start by just hooping stabilizer, and then you work on top of the stabilizer. You don't really hoop fabric, correct?
Right. Most of the time when you're doing in the hoop, you're going to be putting your fabrics on top of the hoop, on the front side of the hoop. And then in the hoop designs, we work a lot on the back side of the hoop also.
Yeah, and that's where tape comes in, right? For sure.
Right. So a lot of times you do want to tape things on the front side of the hoop because you don't want anything sliding or moving around. But a lot of the taping happens on the back side.
That's right. Because I've learned, well, and I'm still learning, that when you place that fabric on the back side of the hoop and you go to slide the hoop onto the machine, that fabric on the back just wants to fold under and, come out of position, and then you stitch unwillingly, no, I mean unknowingly, that now you have this folded piece of fabric that's supposed to be your lining. And yeah, I've done lots of ripping out of in the hoop.
Well, that's where, a product we're going to talk about comes into play today to help you really get that tape adhered well onto the back side.
Right. So let's go ahead and kind of let you take over, because I know you have some step outs that really illustrate, how to make this successful.
All right. So I am going to be showing you one of my in the hoop zipper bags. And today, usually I show a 6x10 sample, but today I decided to go with a big hoop. We all have big hoops now. We like to stitch in them. So I'm going to be showing you a zipper bag. This is a 9.5 by 14-inch hoop, and I'm doing it in cork. And I'm using so many shaped foam from Dime. I really love this foam. Of course, you can use batting, but the foam really gives the bags a lot of dimension. So I basically have started using that in place of batting. But most of the time when you're going to work on an in the hoop design, you're going to want to hoop, a no-show cutaway stabilizer. It's going to be left inside. So you want something that's still going to be a little soft and, kind of not make your bag extremely stiff. So you want to use the light, it doesn't have to be the light, but you want to use the no-show cutaway on your projects for in the hoop. And I love these big rolls because as you can see, I can really, use it on my big hoops. And of course, we have bigger hoops than this one here. But anyway, to do an in the hoop design, how basically it starts out with a zipper bag is that you're going to get a placement line. And it's going to be just 2 long parallel lines. And you're going to stitch that onto the stabilizer. And it's a placement for your zipper. So then I would have put my zipper down. I would have taped it. And then my next stitch comes along and it stitches very close to the 2 zipper edges all the way down. And that holds my zipper in place. So I don't have to worry about it shifting or moving. Then you're going to be starting to add fabrics. So the first thing that you're going to add, and I've already stitched a few steps so that we don't have to go through everything, but you would lay your fabric down. I mean, I'm trying to get my hoop. My hoop is so big, I can hardly get it into my viewing area here. But the fabric gets laid down against the edge of the zipper that you can see through the stabilizer. And I use my hoop and press pad. I guess I should have showed you that. I'm using one of my hoop and press pads underneath the hoop. And this is what gives me support. We'll talk about hoop and press pads a little bit more a little bit later. But now I have support underneath here. So when I go to tape, I can take my tape and I can place it and then I can press it down. It really doesn't matter the type of tape you use. Everyone has their favorites, but you have to be able to press it down. And with that hoop and press pad underneath here, I have that support pushing back up so I can really push down on my tape. So once you have your tape, this piece taped on, this is the lining piece, you go to the machine and then it stitches it down. I'm going to take this piece off because it's already been stitched down. The next thing you really want to do is you want to press your fabric because it's going to get folded over. So this is the inside of the bag underneath the zipper. And when you fold it over, most people just fold their fabric over and they tape it and you get what I call the bubble. See how the fabric moves? Because no matter how much you try to pull it and tape is always going to give back a little bit. So when I fold the piece over, I like to take an iron now and press. With my hoop and press pad underneath here, I can press down. I'm not disturbing the stabilizer. I've got support underneath my hoop, and I can get a nice crisp fold. That's what you want. When you open up your zipper bag, when it's finished, you want to see this lining piece here laying really nice and flat. But at this point, I would tape down the bottom edges because we don't want them to move when we're moving our hoop back to the machine. At this point too, I would add my next lining piece, which is the piece that ends up being on the inside above the zipper. So I have my placement line here from when my zipper stitched. So this piece gets placed right along that edge. And again, I need to tape it down. And with my hoop and press pad underneath here, I can really press down on that tape to get it to adhere. Because as Eileen said, especially with these larger hoops, when we go to the machine now, we don't want these pieces on the back side moving or flipping on us. I'm going to go over to my machine. I've got it set up, and I'm just going to stitch on this one piece of fabric on the back side. And I've got some other things to show you that hoop and press pads are really good for. Make sure I get my zipper tab pull out of the way. And so this actually, I did go ahead and stitch this piece here on the top, but I'm going to go ahead and restitch that to stitch the bottom piece on. And then we're going to be using the hoop and press pad again. So hoop and press pads are nice, thick wool pads. They have a non-slip surface on the back side so that when you put it down and you're working on it, the pad isn't moving. And you certainly don't want it slipping around when you're trying to put your hoop on top of it or do anything else. We'll talk about all the different sizes of hoop and press pads that Dime and I have out and all of the bundles that we have, etc. So now that that piece got stitched on, we'll place it over top of the hoop and press pad. Make sure it's on there nice and level. I don't need my tape on anymore, so I'll just go ahead and pull that off real quick. If I can get it off, I was able to press it down so hard, it's a little bit harder to get off now. There we go. Get this one off. And at this point, I'm going to be folding this piece of lining over. And again, the same thing can happen that could happen with this piece. People just want to fold it over and tape it, and then you kind of have that little bubble there. So you want to press. Hoop and press pad lets you press. I don't steam because, you know, some stabilizers, if you steam them, it's going to kind of distort them a little bit. So everybody uses something different. So I don't steam. But now you can see I got a really nice crisp fold here. At this point in a lot of my zipper bag designs, you have to trim out the stabilizer that's here behind the zipper. That's so you can access your hoop and, so you can access the inside of your bag when it's done. So I just like to use these small scissors. I take the point and I put them down inside of that stabilizer. I'm only going through the stabilizer. And what the hoop and press pad is doing now is it's kind of pushing back when I push my scissors in. So I know I can't go so far down, because if I do, what happens is I'll cut my zipper. And if you cut that zipper in your zipper bag, it's pretty much done. You're basically going to have to start over. And I can just run the scissors along here and get this piece of stabilizer out. So those are some ways that hoop and press pads are great for zipper bags, for taping, for pressing, for trimming, etc. So that's basically how you're going to use it for a zipper bag or any other in the hoop project. Anytime you have to work on the back side, you're going to want to put your hoop over top of the hoop and press pad.
You know, great example, great demonstration of how to use them. We have a lot of comments. So let me just, first of all, we have some fans like Karen Dickey has been making your projects for over 20 years. So boy, she's really a fan and an avid customer.
Very familiar name.
Yeah. Do you know the name? Yeah.
Yes.
And then Pamela M., she had a pretty good idea. So you know how I talked about if I don't tape correctly and my fabric gets folded under when I'm sliding my hoop onto the machine? She takes a folder and slides that under the hoop. So she probably like goes to the machine with the folder sitting underneath the wrong side, the bottom of the hoop. And then when she slides the hoop into the pantograph, just pulls that folder out. Everything's in place. Great idea. I love that.
That is a great idea.
Yeah, I'm going to use that. I think that's a really great idea. And then Linda Johnston. So she says, am I doing something wrong with my press pads? But she always gets a bad wool smell when she irons on it. So I don't get that experience when I am using the hoop and press pads. Possibly, Linda, you're using steam, and steam, whenever you steam wool, right, it's going to pull out, the fibers of the wool, and you just are definitely going to get some kind of odor, shall we say.
Right. To me, there's really not a need to steam while you're doing something in the hoop.
Right.
You're pressing it down. And again, like I said, some stabilizers, if you steam them, they're going to kind of distort a little bit. So I don't recommend using steam.
Yeah, definitely not in the hoop, because, if you follow like Reen's instructions on preparing your fabrics and cutting them, you're going to want to keep those dimensions perfectly. And like she said, steaming and really sliding that iron can distort, and you don't want that. So, okay. I think that's where we are. So let's talk about, it comes in so many different sizes, the hoop and press pad. First, when we first came out with them a couple of years ago, Reen, we were pretty hesitant, a little cautious as to how many sizes that we would offer. And since then, we've really expanded the line, right? So I think you have a pretty good visual back there that you could share.
I do, if I can move out of the way here. Here I have a bunch of our hoop and press pads. Let me bring some of them at least over.
Yeah. And so these are not multiples. These are all individual sizes.
These are, different hoops. We came out with more pads for the machines that we had, which was basically Brother Baby Lock. And we added Janome, we added Foth, we added Viking to the mix. So, and we also added bundles.
Yes.
We had the one bundle, but then we came back and now we added a lot more bundles.
Right. And we learned from our viewers and customers. They said, well, I really need just the hoop and press pads that go with the Brother Luminaire or whatever machine it was that they owned. So we kind of made some bundles that focused on actual machines. It seemed to make more sense. Yeah.
Right. That was a question that I started getting, shortly after the pads came out. I just bought this machine, and these are the only hoops that that came with it. They're the only hoops that I own.
Yeah.
For my machines, I basically own every hoop there is. I mean, you can go out and purchase additional hoops for your machine if you want. And I've got all the hoops, so I use all the pads. But we did come out with bundles. There's the bundle for the Luminaire Solaris. There's the bundle for the Janome M17. There's the bundle. There's a Viking bundle. There's a Bernina bundle.
Yes. We're going to talk about the Bernina bundle in a minute. But Reen, Tanya Allen, she purchased these last year and she hasn't used them yet. So,
oh my gosh, Tanya.
No, Tanya, you got to open them up, right? But maybe you haven't done it in the hoop project. But if you've been doing applique, it's a great opportunity to use your hoop and press pad, because applique in the hoop really benefits when you press from the wrong side. And I think you have something to show, right?
Yes. I'm going to try to move these pads out of my way a little bit here. I'm just going to dump them on the floor.
Yeah. So just be patient with Reen. She's there all by herself. And, she's the one-man band today.
Let me grab my samples here. So like Eileen said, they are great for applique. So when you've done an applique in the hoop, it's a lot of people, it's always great to press. You're going to use, like Fuse Me, something underneath here. You have a fusible underneath your applique. So after you're done with it, even before you've done the satin stitching, if you want, take the appropriate size hoop and press pad, turn the hoop over, place it on top. So all of you girls out there doing, appliques, hoop and press pads are definitely for you. Then you're going to take your iron. And again, you're just pressing. You're not, using a back and forth motion. And what this is doing is the fusible that you have on the back side of your applique fabric, the heat from the iron is activating it and it's lifting up onto the base fabric. So you're getting a really nice bond. You're not going to have any of that typical snow plowing that you get, especially with a big applique like this. This is the 8.5, the 8x8 hoop. And, you want this to lay nice and flat. So always press your appliques from the back side and, they'll look beautiful just like this. That's another use for the hoop and press pads. We all have to rip out stitches once in a while, right, Eileen?
Yes, unfortunately, it can be your best friend, a stitch ripper.
So, I like to use the dime stitch ripper whenever, the occasion arises and I have to rip something out. But if you have to take something out and it's in the hoop, leave it in the hoop. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to take stitches out from the back side. And with the hoop and press pad underneath, it allows you to be able to take your stitch ripper and press down. And let me just get some of these out of here. And all I'm doing is I'm cutting these bobbin threads. This is for the smaller blade. It's for like column stitches, etc. It also has a bigger blade, a wider blade, and this would be more for if you have fill stitches to get those out. And then you would basically hold it like this and just kind of scrape. And with the hoop and press pad underneath here, you've got your support. If you were holding it up in the air trying to do it, first off, you can see my fingers from the back side pushing up. That's starting to, get everything misaligned there. And then you would have to press down here and you can see how the stabilizer is actually moving if I were to do it that way. But then you would just come to the front side of the hoop and, fluff up your stitches. I really didn't press down hard enough to get those stitches. I'll tell you something, though. I don't want to mess up my applique for real.
It's so beautiful. Why would you ruin that gorgeous art? There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right. But if you had to,
sure,
you certainly have tools with the stitch ripper along with the hoop and press pad is really going to help you get things out easily and quickly.
That was great advice that you said, don't take it out of the hoop, always work from the back and don't remove the stabilizer, right? Because it's the stabilizer that's going to protect the project and the fabric underneath. So when you're ripping out stitches, you want to keep that stabilizer intact for sure. And,
definitely.
Yeah. So I want to jump over. I loved how you showed all those different sizes of hoops for all the different brands of machines. But I thought I would share this video that talks about Bernina hoops. So I don't have a standard Bernina hoop here where I am broadcasting from today. But those of you who are Bernina users, envision your hoop. You have an attachment on the left side of the hoop that's quite tall. And on the larger Bernina hoops, you have a wheel that you use to dial the hold on the outer ring onto the inner ring. And that's quite tall. So for that reason, this is how we sell the Bernina hoop and press pad. So let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Here we go. We have a video right here. Press pad Bernina bundle works as a trio, and you'll use all three when using your different hoops. For the small oval, just take the small pad and stack it on top of the other two, and then place your small oval hoop on top of that pad, and then you can apply heat or tape, whatever your task is, to the wrong side of the hoop. When using the midi hoop, you'll just flip the pad so that the midi pad is now on top of the stack, and then place the hoop wrong side up, and the attachment and the wheel will be elevated so that you can apply pressure to the back of the hoop. When using the largest hoop and press pad, place it on top of the other two hoop and press pads. Take your hooped fabric and place it the right side down, and then you can apply heat or pressure to the back of the hoop, confident that your hoop is secured on the hoop and press pad. When using the hoop and press pad in the Bernina small oval, insert the hoop and press pad with the wool side down, flip the hoop over, and place it on a table, extending the attachment off the edge of the table. And then simply apply heat with your iron to the wrong side of the hoop. So they're just unique hoops, you know, in the sense that they have that wheel. So we learned from our customers that that would be the best way to offer them. So that's how
you got to work around.
You got to work around. I know, absolutely. But, you know, today all these hoops are on sale, and we hope that you'll take advantage of it, whether you do a purchase of one hoop pad or if you do a bundle. It doesn't matter. You're going to enjoy the sale pricing, and also the when your order is over $75, you get free shipping. But I want to show you how to shop for them. So let's go ahead and place. I'm going to add this video, and I'm just going to talk it over. So go to our website and search hoop and press pads. And then at the bottom of that search window, click on View All. And then you will be displayed with all of the different brands. Click on your brand of machine. And when you do that, then you will be able to purchase by individual hoop using the drop-down menu or the bundles. And the bundles are listed at the bottom. And just add to cart. So as you, if you add a bundle and you wonder what's in that bundle, if you scroll down, you'll see all of the bundles are listed at the bottom of the page. So that's where you'll get your information as to what is actually in that bundle. So just good to know. I think that is it there. Oh, and some of you, we have learned through time, you don't know what hoop you do own, right? You're not sure what size it is. So if you go down to the bottom of our website on any page, so this is always at the bottom, and you click on more info, you will you can learn all about hoops. So click on all about hoops. And in there, see where it says, click here to view this PDF. When you do that, here you'll find all the information that you need for what size hoop you own. Now, this is actually the measurements of our snap hoop monsters, but they also pertain to your standard hoops because our hoops mimic yours. So it will tell you the sewing field. That's what we call the hoop, right? I'm going to back that up just a moment, see if we can get over there. Let me scrub through that. So, right here, it's telling you the sewing field. That's when we say a 5x7 or 130 by 180, that's the size of embroidery design that your hoop can stitch. But your hoop actually measures something else. It's larger than 5x7 or 130 by 180. So this chart will help you identify exactly what hoop you have. Okay, we got through that, Reen, right?
We're doing good.
We're doing good. We are.
I saw someone mention that they need the 4x4 hoop now.
Yes.
We have added so many new sizes of hoop and press pads.
Yeah.
You really need to go to, Dime's website, scroll down through and look at all of the new sizes that got added, all of the new bundles that got added, all of the new machine brands that got added. I think we've got just about everybody covered.
I think so. I think so. Now, Mary Roberts wants to know, can you use these with Monster Snap Hoop? Well, you cannot use them with Snap Hoop Monster because they're too tall. And what happens when you use them with Snap Hoop Monster, if you were to lay your hooped stabilizer over this that's in Snap Hoop Monster, this would push the stabilizer beyond the hoop. Not what you want to do. But coming soon to a dime website near you, we'll be introducing Snap Hoop Monster hoop and press pads, but it's several months away. So just kind of hang tight. You're going to love them when they come. They're really going to be handy. Now, how do you organize all of your hoop and press pads? You know, organization is something that we all kind of struggle with in our sewing rooms. So we're always excited to hear how others, you know, organize in their sewing room. So tell us, Reen.
Well, I have a couple of different ways to organize my hoop and press pads. So something that I recently did, I did this little bag.
Oh, I love it.
I love it too. It's a drawstring bag. It has like a boxed bottom. My friend Caroline, she came up with this pattern, but in here right now, I have hoop and press pads 4x4 all the way up to 9.5 by 9.5.
Wow.
I'm another bag that can hold the larger pads and hold all of them. But I thought, you know, if I'm traveling or going to a class or something, sometimes I don't need to take all of them. So
Sure.
I'll have a smaller bag and a larger bag.
Mm-hmm. But I love that design that you made. That's adorable. You know, I mean, the pattern's really cool, but, you know, I'm all about embroidery. So, woohoo, I like that. You labeled it like that.
Well, I want to show you that if you can see that dimension here.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3D foam underneath there.
Oh, how
this
fun.
Design is from Dime's new software, Special Effects. They have these really cool hoops in there and that you use foam with. And I thought it's perfect. Now on this design though, I went in, I added an applique, very easy in the software.
Sure.
And the applique represents the hoop and press pad inside of the hoop. And then of course I just had to put hoop and press pads on top. But I love it. It just turned out so, so nice.
That's really great.
And it's just a drawstring bag. So, you know, there's all my pads inside.
Absolutely. Super easy. Super easy. So Risa Ranke wants to know, can you use the pads for, you know, regular ironing for dual purpose? And you do have some examples of that, right?
Yes, you definitely can. So, you know, I'm not a huge quilter or anything, but if you're doing some piecing by your machine, your sewing machine, or even in the hoop quilt blocks, you know, it's handy just to have near your machine and, you know, press as you go. Because you're going to have to, if you're doing quilt blocks, you're going to have to press those.
Yeah, and I like that it's petite. You know, if you have a variety of the hoop and press pads, you could select one that's going to work with the project that you're working on at that time. And that non-slip surface on the bottom just keeps that in place no matter what tabletop you're working on. It's great.
Right. And I came up recently with, I was going to change your camera. I came up recently with another use for hoop and press pads that, you know, it just was one of those things. I'm working on something, I'm having a problem, and I look over and it's like, grab a hoop and press pad. It'll help you out, you know. So I can show you that.
Okay, I'd love to see that. Love to see that.
All right. So now this isn't going to work for all designs all the time, but I have a few designs like this bag that uses a magnetic snap closure. So it's one of those magnetic snaps. I'm going to show you one up close in a moment, but it has the prongs and, you know, they're going to go through the flap. Of course, you don't want them coming through the opposite side, but the flap is made in the hoop and you certainly can't get this magnetic snap in after you've made the flap. I mean, you got to try to get in that little opening, get it done. So I came up with a cool way to get that installed. Same thing with the opposite side of the snap. This was done while this bag was being made in the hoop.
Oh, and that's amazing.
You can't see the, you know, the snap from the inside. So when I did the flap, let me get this out of the way. So this is kind of the flap as it is in the hoop when it gets stitched. Get my little pieces of my magnetic snap out of here. So basically there's a placement. Again, I love using the sew any shape foam. So that's the basis for my little flap.
That must make that flap so comfortable, and it adds such a sturdy base to that snap. I mean, I've made so many of those bags, and it's always a challenge, that the flap gets so stiff because you have to use extra interfacing or stabilizer in there to support that snap.
And then if you're doing that, it's hard to turn that snap because this is a little snap, a little flap.
Yes.
Exactly. So using the foam is just great.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I have of course, a placement for where you're going to put your snap. And the placement has 2 lines. I've cut one of them already, but there's 2 lines and it matches the lines in the prongs. Mm-hmm. So you can see the prongs here and then the 2 lines. So it all matches up with the snap.
Sure.
Now to get it installed, you're going to have to use, some type of a cutter. I like to use one of these kind of little knives, and I'm cutting that line. So this one's already been cut. See my knife coming through there. And the other one, all I'm doing is I'm just cutting right on that stitch line. That's what these are for. And then once you have that cut out, you can take your snap, stick it through. For some reason, I like to always put the male snap on the flap. That's just me. Mm-hmm. But you stick it through.
Look at that. Beautiful.
And it's on the back side. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem comes in, you have to bend these prongs in. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to really get this all out of a line. So I grabbed a hoop and press pad. This is the 4x4. Isn't that cute?
It's so cute. It's so handy. And how much, everybody uses their 4x4 hoop.
Right. All the time.
Yeah.
A lot of appliques are done in 4x4 too.
For sure.
So now I have the support underneath here. I can press down as hard as I need to. I'll take my little washer, put on the back. If you like to, put a little piece of cutaway or something else behind here, you can certainly do that. It's all up to you. But now I have to bend the prongs. And what I learned from a bag maker is you bend the prongs inward. I used to always bend them outward.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be bent inward. So I just have this little tool. You could even use a thread spool. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. But just press it down.
The spacing between those openings is narrow enough to accommodate for those legs to face each other?
Yeah, they're going to overlap just a tiny bit, but that's okay. The reason I was told that you turn them in is because if you turn them out, sometimes, on some fabrics, some designs, you would be able to see that impression.
Sure.
On the front. So that's why you want to turn them in. And I don't know if you can see this, but look how nice and flat I got those prongs.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And that was because I got the support of the hoop and press pad under here. So I can really push those down as hard as I need to get them, so flat that it just looks really, really nice on the front side and the back side. You don't see anything, coming through on this flat piece.
Right. It's such a professional finish, Reen. That's really a great tip.
And then just to, I'd finish the flap, I'd have to put this over and then it stitches it around. And don't worry, I digitized this so that this little snap is nowhere near the foot or anything.
Right. Yep. And I imagine maybe you made one where it did run over the foot. Right?
Yeah, but I made this so that, the foot is not in the way at all.
That's right.
But that's how you get a snap inside while it's being constructed in the hoop. And the same thing for the bag. When I did the bag, whenever it came to the point that this needed to be installed on this side,
yes,
the exact same thing. I had the placement, the 2 lines, put it over the hoop and press pad, And then I was able to bend those prongs,
That's
easily.
awesome. That's awesome. You're going to like Sandra Martinez's comment. She says her ironing board is jealous because she doesn't use it that much anymore. Well, she's just like us. We iron all day, but just tiny little things that are in a hoop, right?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. And Laura Park, she loves the hoop and press pad. She uses them all the time. I just want to make sure that Jay Bernard got our message from our team about finding a distributor in Europe. Our friend Jay Bernard is in Portugal. She tunes in all the time, so we love to hear that.
To me, hoop and press pads are something like, some people look at them and think, I do in the hoop, but I don't need those. But once they buy them, oh my gosh, the emails and messages I get, it's like, how did I ever live without them? My projects turn out so nice now that I'm using, the hoop and press pads.
Right. And it streamlines the process. It just makes it easier so that you are finish it in a more efficient time, but you're also pleased with the results because, you press as you go. Anybody who took a sewing class knows press as you go. It's no different for in the hoop, right?
Right. Because if you were sewing a bag like this, you're definitely pressing about after every step. You have to.
Right. It's a lot of on and off, on and off, on and off with the hoop. And
right.
So,
most in the hoop designs, you are taking that hoop off and turning it to the back side or doing something on the front side several times during the process. It, too, it's going to depend on how complex, the design gets. Yeah. This design too, another great use for the hoop and press pad. This one has an outer pocket here.
Uh-huh.
And it's also quilted. A little hard to see. The original pattern I have strips of fabric. So it's like a flip and stitch. Put a fabric down, another one on top, stitch it, flip it like that. But to create all of that and do it all in one hooping, this is one of my designs that you cut through the stabilizer. So at a point, you cut through the stabilizer, and this piece here, which is actually laying down this way, gets brought up and through that slit. And that's how it's lined on the inside.
Wow.
And you can do things here on this side and all do it in one hooping. And when you have to cut through the stabilizer, you make a cut all the way across your hoop. Just imagine now how things are getting a little
kind of lagging.
But with the hoop and press pad, you put it on top of there, you do your pressing and your ironing, and that's why there is such a nice crisp fold here in this area, because you use the hoop and press pad.
That's beautiful. So the Energizer Bunny wants to know what was the name of that foam. So the foam that I use and that Reen uses is Sew Any Shape foam. And we developed that here at Dime because it's machine embroidery friendly. And it adds some very nice, loft and texture to even these tiny little circular Ziploc bags, little jewelry cases. But now with that foam on both sides, it's more enjoyable to use. It protects whatever is inside. And Tracy Edwards wants to know, what pattern is that of that bag that you've been showing with the...
This is one of my Marianne cases.
Oh, Marianne cases. Okay.
Marianne case.
Very nice.
Marianne was someone I met early on in my embroidery journey. And she really helped me to start to understand just how to use my machine and stuff. So,
very cool.
I said after her.
Oh, that's really nice. It's just lovely to honor her like that. Now, Karen Dickey wants to know, how thick is the foam? Gee, you would think I would know that, but I don't. But I'll bet somebody on my team knows. And I would imagine the info is right on our website under Sew Any Shape foam. But I don't know that off the top of my head. But it's, it's lofty.
I would think it would be somewhere around 3 millimeters. I can cut it on my scan and cut very easily.
Do you cut it on your scan and cut?
Yes.
Tell me about it. What do you do?
Okay, well, for example, what did I do with this sample here?
I cut it on AccuQuilt, but I haven't tried it on my scanner. So tell me what settings, what mat, all that.
I am kind of old school. I just use the regular mat. I use a rotary cutter. My scan and cut has a rotary cutter available. I use that. If you wanted to, You could cut out, an SVG file and put it underneath a letter if you want. Say you're
Sure.
doing I don't know, an applique of a little elephant or something, put
Right.
it, cut it out, put it up underneath there, and it, just gives it that little bit of oomph.
That's awesome. I love
And
that. I'm going to give it a try on my scan and cut.
some people think that the sew any shape foam, makes things too thick.
Hmm.
I put it in 5x7 designs. I haven't tried a 4x4 yet, but I'm sure it would work. But I put it in 5x7 designs. And I honestly think things turn, like a zipper bag turns easier than it does with, batting in it.
I agree. And I use, they're not forced. What are they called? Those, I have them right here. I'm not a nurse, so all you nurses.
Hemostats.
Thank you. Hemostats. That's what I use to turn my bags. And I just go inside and pull that seam and then work it out to birth the bag, and it works beautifully. I do love pre-cutting the stabilizer though. I mean, the foam, so that I don't have a whole lot in the seam allowance. It's okay to have a little, but I don't like a lot of foam in the seam allowance. I find it's just easier. Yes, of course you could trim it after you stitch, but I'm all about doing it quicker in the beginning so that I don't have to spend a lot of tedious time.
See, I haven't thought about doing it beforehand. I am the one that trims it after. I do want to get it out of that seam line. Mm-hmm. But another thing too, when you are doing like an in the hoop bag and, corners. I'm
yes.
That's one of my pet things is I want my corners to look nice.
Nice and sharp.
Using the foam, I don't know what it is, but I think when you turn the corner, I think it kind of fills it in maybe just like a little bit or something. And it makes your corners just look really nice.
Right. So like, do you trim at like, as you come to the corner, right? Like kind of at, trim across the corner. And then because there's foam in the body itself, you're right. It does fill it out and fluffs it out.
Yeah. So, I just really love it. I use it on everything now. I haven't used batting in a while.
Yeah, I don't either. I just love the foam. I use them for placemats on our table. And I love how they have a heavier cover, let's say. So, when you put a plate down or a glass, there's no big thunk. It's just quiet. And I know it's just a nice texture. But we're embroiderers and quilters, right? We love all that soft stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Debbie Albert says, what embroidery scissors would you recommend to trim the foam? Okay, well, before we answer that, Reen, you're home and I'm home. How many pairs of scissors are in your studio?
I can't even count that many. I'm one of those bad people that instead of sharpening scissors, if they happen to get dull, I go buy another pair. So I've got, I'd say at least 20 pairs of scissors.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. And I mean, 20 might be of, 6 inches and smaller. And then we get another 20 as we go above 6 inches. When I was a younger woman, I loved to buy beautiful shoes. And now I think it's all about scissors.
Yeah. And you got to have different scissors for different jobs.
Right. So. But do we have some favorites? Sure, we do. So I love Karen K. Buckley scissors. She has all different varieties. She has some with a serrated edge, some with not, some that are a little curved for trimming applique, others that are a little bit longer. Okay, so here's the Energizer Bunny. She's a scissor junkie. She's got 35 pairs. I love it. I love it. And Sandra Atkin, her husband, was just commenting on the number of scissors. Sandra, put them in drawers. There's no reason that he needs to count and know how many you have, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Ask him how many fishing poles he has or whatever his favorite hobby is. Okay. Well, hey, you have other ways to store your hoop and press pads, right? So by your machine, you have one way, and then at home in the studio.
Yeah, so a lot of times, I just a little bin to keep my most used hoop and press pads, right by my machine. My machine's right here. And, I can just grab it out, throw it back in when I need it. So any type of a basket or a little bin or something. I have to hoop my bigger, projects over at my cutting table. So I have a different basket there to hold some of the bigger hoops in. I just don't
Okay.
have the room here to do it.
Sure.
So I just, keep what I
Yeah.
need over here.
I love that. So we really started something with the scissors. I've been popping these comments up here, but Carolyn Booth has over 100. And Darlene Simmons says, no one. You can never have too many scissors. And Shelby's husband collects pocket knives, and she collects scissors. They live in a very sharp household, I think. But Linda Johnston, I love this. She says she has dozens and dozens of scissors because she was traumatized as a child having to grow up in a home with one pair of scissors. Right. And, I remember, like you only have fabric scissors, right? Like there's all these scissors that we all own. We would never allow someone in our home to walk into our sewing room and pick up one of those pair of scissors and go cut some construction paper, right? That would be an absolute no. So it's comical to think that, yeah, when we were kids, there probably was one pair of scissors, or maybe there was 2 or 3, but there weren't the quantity that we have now. And there most certainly weren't the options available. So,
right. I have another storage idea.
Yeah. Show us.
Let me grab it here.
Okay. Look at this. So this hangs over a door, Reen?
Right. It hangs over a door. The pattern is from a mutual friend of Eileen and I. She designed it. Basically, it was supposed to be double-sided. I only did one side. But the windows here, she put purses in her closet.
Right. Sally Tomato, right?
Right. Sally Tomato, Jess. Sure. So that she could see her purses because she's a bag maker. And it would hang in the closet this way. So it would be double-sided. When I saw her pattern, I thought, perfect for hoop and press pads.
Sure.
Because with this window, I can see exactly which pads are where. And then all I got to do is just pull one out, pop it back in again. I did have to change the top here because I had to find a hanger. And my hanger happened to have these 4 hooks on it. So all I did was just this top piece was just, add some grommets. I added 4 of them. Actually, what I did was I used some Dime software to create this. All it is a rectangle here at the top. But I wanted to put the holes in, and this is marine vinyl. So I wanted to cut it on my cutter so I'd have the perfect holes.
Yeah, beautiful. I love
Reen. I quilted it and everything, and it just hangs, right near me, so I can grab whichever pad I need.
Right. I love how you use all the tools that are available in your sewing room. I'm so impressed with that. I think that's great. And I think we should all be inspired by that because, I think we're all guilty of buying tools that we don't use. We say we're going to, like somebody earlier commented, oh, I've had those hoop and press pads for a year and hasn't used them. Get them out of the shrink wrap. Put them next to your sewing machine, at the ironing board. Use them, right?
You'll be amazed at how often you use them too.
Yeah. So let's see. Hey, well, I know we both love to quilt, but Debbie Albers, she bought my block piecer yesterday. Woohoo! Glad to hear that. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Kathy Lauterbach is asking, Rena, is that bag that you're showing one of your designs? So I think that's the Marianne bag.
Right. The Marianne case. Yep.
The Marianne case. So that's over at embroiderygarden.com, and they could search on your website.
Right. Just type Marianne, one word, into the search bar. It'll come up.
And Marianne with a Y or an I?
Y.
Okay, great. All right. So, wow, that was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot of fun. I learned so much. I always learn from you, Reen, for sure. And I appreciate you doing all the heavy lifting, as we like to say, because, I'm at home with one camera and blah, blah, blah. Lots of excuses, right? The sun got in my eyes today. So what's new and coming up with you that people want to know about? You're heading off to Alaska on a cruise, right?
Yep. The cruise is coming up. We're going to be leaving June 30th. I'll be gone a week on the cruise. It's all about scan and cuts. And we're going to be talking about cut and stitch software on the cruise too. We'll be using some of that. about ready to launch a new video course. I got together with some other digitizers and educators, and we're going to present a video course that will be online. Just trying to, get some more designs out and do some things. I thought it was going to be a nice, relaxing summer, and it kind of turned into a lot of working.
Reen, I have never known you to relax. I have never known you to relax. And folks, last night at 9 or 10 o'clock, I got an email from Reen following up on an inquiry that I sent her earlier in the day. She never stops working. And thank you for all of the professionalism that you bring to our industry. We're better off for it. So thank you, Reen. It's always a joy to work with you.
I appreciate those kind words.
Oh, you bet. They're true. They are absolutely true. So we do have, next week we're going to be doing Facebook Live again on Thursday. And that is, I'm going to be talking all about editing, simple editing in software. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And that'll be on June 20th at 1 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Ashley will be back in the studio on June 18th. And this sounds like a really deep topic, integrating and maximizing capabilities part 2. Well, what that means is Ashley's going to teach you, if you have more than one dime software program, how you can get them to work together. So it's a great way to just become more familiar with your software, learn some tricks and tips of Ashley's on how to get the most out of your software. So we really appreciate when you like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I don't know if many of you are aware of it, but Facebook sometimes gives all of us live presenters a little bit of trouble. And when we think we're going live on Facebook, we may not actually be on Facebook, but we are always on YouTube. So if you would catch us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel there. That tells us that we are providing the right content and it's what you're looking for. So I hope that you will, do that for us. It really does make a difference. And I just want to give a shout out to Linda Johnston. She says Ashley's part 1 was fabulous. So thanks for sharing your comment on that, Linda. Our Ashley Jones is one hardworking woman, and boy, does she have some great knowledge to share with you. So if you ever get the chance to tune in to one of her shows, do it. It's time well spent. So we always want to see what you are working on. So if you would share your projects using the hashtag #DimeSewAlong on the house or hashtag exquisite thread, we would really appreciate it, because then we go and look on social media for those hashtags, for those projects that are tagged with those hashtags. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you've been stitching. Are so nice, aren't they? Hey, I just wanted to give, this commenter has a very funny name. When you really read it, it says either or. So, when I'm standing here reading these comments really quick, I thought it was ether or, but it's either or. So that's fun. But she wants to know that gray hanging organizer pattern. That was from Sally Tomato. Do you remember the name of it at all, Reen?
I don't, but if you just go to sallytomato.com and probably type organizer into the search bar, it should come up.
It should come up. So I hope that you'll do that for sure. It's really a handy pattern. And, it could hold hoop and press pads. It could also hold rolls of stabilizer. So whatever you need to corral in your studio, it's a good way to use it. So we're about to reveal the on the house design. And if you haven't been downloading them, this is where you go. You go over to www.dzgns.com, search for free designs, or just click on embroidery in the free design. It will come up in the drop down menu. Now, they're there all year. So they're for the taking, a new one every week, a project once a month. So we hope that you will take advantage of that. And this week is Island Girl. Isn't she fun? Well, you're not going to see her in Alaska, Reen, but
you know what, Eileen?
What?
Aboard ship, we're going to have a luau party.
Well, there you go. There you go. You got to put that on a t-shirt or some fun thing, right? A tote bag.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it. Really well done. And, you know, of course, Deborah Jones is our embroidery expert who handles all of selecting the artwork and overseeing the digitizing. So my hat's off to her to continue this program. It's a lot of work, and I know many of you really enjoy it. So go download those designs. They're still available and still free. Reen, thank you so much for sharing all your expertise today. It's just a delight to have you here.
Well, thanks, Eileen. I always enjoy being with you.
Well, you're going to have to come back pretty soon. And I know you'll be back when those Snap Hoop Monster Hoop and Press pads come out.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everyone. See you next week.